Okay, we're going to continue multiplying complex numbers. Let's say you have a monomial squared, like 2i to the second power. You could write it out twice and get 4i squared, right? And then some of you know that you've been multiplying those exponents because you have a quantity squared of a monomial. So if I put a little 1 right there, 1 times 2 is really 2 to the second power, and I to the first times 2 is really I squared. So really you still have 4i squared. But again, that little caveat says, hey, I have to look at the, that I squared and say, okay, that I squared is -1. So it's really 4 times -1. And you might see, -4, your answer. You might be able to see that whenever you multiply, whenever you have that I squared there, it's really just changing the coefficient just to its opposite sign. That's all it is. Whenever you multiply by a -1, it just changes whatever you have to its opposite sign. Let's try another one. Let's say 3i squared to the second power. And again, you could write it out and get 9i to the fourth. Or you could then say, well, what's 3 squared? And then I squared right here to the second power is really just I to the fourth. So you have 9i to the fourth. Same answer. But again, along with that caveat, you have to say, okay, what's I to the fourth? And I to the fourth here is 1. So in that regard, you're just saying 9 instead of I to the fourth is 9 times 1, which is 9. So number 3. Let's say you have 3 times 3 plus 2i. Well, you're going to distribute, right? So 3 times 3 is 9 plus 6i. That is your answer because there's nothing over here in your power of 4 that needs to change. That I is already what I is right here. So that's your answer. Let's try one that way you have to actually change it. So let's say you have 3i times 3 plus 2i, okay? Again, distributing, that's going to be 9i. You can see right away that that's not going to change. And then you have plus 6i squared, and that is going to change. So in this regard, that I squared is -1. Here it is right here. Got to know the I squared is -1. It helps you quite a bit. So really it's just 9i plus 6 times -1. And again, it's just going to change the sign, right? So it's going to be 9i minus 6. But I'm going to change it to -6 plus 9i. Why? Because when you multiply complex numbers, up here at the top, complex numbers are in the form a plus bi, where that is the imaginary number and the a is the real number. That's why I changed it around.